Welcome, aspiring digital artists, filmmakers, and creative minds. I am absolutely thrilled you're here. Today, we're diving into a complete masterclass in digital world building in this explainer. If you've ever felt boxed in by your budget, your gear, or, the actual laws of physics when trying to bring a creative vision to life, well, prepare to have your mind blown. We're exploring a brand new tool today. It's known internally by the rather amazing name Nano Banana for video, but officially, it's Gemini Omni. So let's jump right in, because Gemini Omni is stepping up as the ultimate new tool for altering your visual world in literally any way you want. We're talking about taking the director's chair, but in a totally unprecedented way. Right off the bat, I want you to think about this specific quote from Sammy, who works on the Gemini Omni team at Google. Your video can become something straight from your imagination. I mean, really let that sink in for a second. For over a century, a camera was essentially just a tool used to capture reality, right? It was a static recording of whatever happened to be placed directly in front of the lens. But what Sammy is talking about here is a massive paradigm shift. With Omni, the footage isn't just a recording anymore. It becomes this malleable, fluid canvas for your directorial vision. Your raw shot is no longer the final product. It's really just the base layer for your imagination. So, let's move into our first major act, unleashing transformative imagination and how we are completely redefining the video canvas. As a filmmaker exploring these new digital tools, the most exciting part for me isn't necessarily just generating something out of thin air. It's actually taking simple, everyday, practical actions and using them as the launch pad for massive imaginative leaps. And the Google team shared a scenario that perfectly illustrates this. It starts incredibly simply. It's just a clip of someone drawing a circle on a piece of paper. That's the whole input: a hand, a pen, a circle. But then Omni steps in. It takes that highly basic input and completely transforms it into a stunning, vibrant animation. It just proves you are no longer limited by what you actually shot. You can tell the AI to tweak very specific elements in the frame, or, like with the circle drawing, you can change absolutely everything. Your basic practical footage just becomes the scaffolding for a whole new world. Okay, let's put you right in the director's chair for a second. Imagine you have a clip of a friend. In the footage, your friend is simply walking up to a mirror and touching the glass. That is your raw material. But as a storyteller, you look at that and you ask the fundamental narrative question. What happens next? Is that mirror actually a portal? Does it suddenly shatter into a million digital fragments? Or maybe their reflection changes into someone completely different? In traditional filmmaking, creating any of those effects would require a massive visual effects budget and a huge team. But Omni lets you take that simple clip of a friend touching a mirror and completely reimagine the suspense and the payoff of that exact scene. The truly game-changing point here is how Omni gives you the power to actually execute on that creative prompt. You look at your mirror scene, and suddenly you have so many options. First off, you can edit the action itself. So maybe when they touch the mirror, it ripples like water. Second, you can completely change the style. You could turn that live action clip into a gritty noir animation or maybe a sweeping watercolor painting. Or third, you can transform the subject into something entirely new. So your friend touching the mirror suddenly becomes an astronaut touching the hull of a ship space. The footage is literally responding to your directorial commands. Which brings us perfectly to our second act, directing with multi-turn dialogue and how you iterate to get your final cut. This feature is where the workflow truly starts to mimic the magic of a real-world movie set. Because let's be honest, you rarely get the perfect shot on take one, right? You have to iterate. And with Omni, you aren't just typing in a single prompt, crossing your fingers, and hoping for the best. You're essentially conversing with your digital crew. You're giving notes, adjusting, and refining the scene through multi-turn language editing. The source material breaks down this phenomenal step-by-step example of iterative filmmaking in action. So, step 1, you start with a base video of a violinist playing their instrument. Great. Step 2, you tell Omni to change the environment. Let's say you want them playing in a massive, grand concert hall instead of a tiny living room. Omni instantly makes the change. But you're the director, and you want to push it just a bit further. So, step 3, you give another prompt. Make the violin itself invisible. Now you've got this amazing shot of a person passionately playing an invisible instrument in a giant concert hall. Finally, step 4, you decide the framing is just a little off, so you literally just tell Omni to change the camera angle. You are continuously directing the AI turn by turn, perfectly drafting a single scene until it matches the exact cut you had in your head. All right, moving into our final act now, expanding your creative canvas and actually building worlds with AI. Now, while that multi-turn dialogue we just talked about is incredible, a filmmaker's primary language is usually visual, isn't it? We work in storyboards, concept art, sketches. Well, check out this capability. The Gemini Omni team explains that you can actually give Omni a drawing alongside some visual instructions, and it knows exactly how to incorporate those directions into a fully realized video. Think about what this actually means for you as a creator. You don't have to write a 3-page novel of text prompts trying to describe a complex camera pan or a highly specific character design. You can literally just sketch out your storyboard, hand it to Omni with a few visual cues, and the AI bridges that gap. It takes your static 2D drawing and turns it into a dynamic moving sequence. It completely understands your visual shorthand. And the main reason it can pull all of this off is because of the engine running under the hood. Historically, as we see on one side, previous AI models really struggled with complex world knowledge. I mean, sure, they could make pretty pictures, but they didn't really understand the underlying logic of the objects within them. But Omni is a breakthrough. Because it's built with Gemini's deep world knowledge, it can effortlessly handle highly complex logical tasks. The source specifically highlights how Omni can easily generate an object for each and every letter of the alphabet in sequence. Think about how hard that actually is. That requires an understanding of language, of the objects themselves, and of visual representation, all working in perfect harmony. It is not just generating pixels, it's fundamentally understanding the world you are asking it to build. Which leaves us right here. At the very end of the presentation, a team member named Will passes the metaphorical camera directly back to the viewer with one simple, provocative question. What would you use it for? We've just seen how Gemini Omni allows you to turn a simple drawing into a whole new world. We've seen how it lets you direct and iterate scene by scene like a Hollywood veteran. And we've seen how it leverages deep world knowledge to bring your literal storyboards to life. The tools to build absolutely anything are now sitting right there in front of you. So, as we wrap up this explainer and you step back into your own creative space, I want to leave you with that exact same challenge. If your footage can now become something straight from your wildest imagination, what story are you going to tell?